Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview Sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be interviewing Jamie Jay of way too many opportunities, adventures, and businesses to list, but we'll dive into quite a few of them today. Jamie, thanks so much for joining us for the second time on our show.
Oh my gosh, Seth, what an honor. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so stoked.
Awesome. Jamie is one of the few guests we've had back more than once. So tell us a little bit about what you've got going on now, because you're doing a whole bunch of really cool stuff.
Oh man, well, thank you again. This is a lot of fun, and you're staying busy too, so that's pretty dang cool. It's been a while since we chatted. Well, not since the last time, but before that, it's been.
Yes, you were on the show a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so, and I went back to look when you were on my show, and it was
Riding the Pine. Yep.
Yeah, I was like, holy cow, time flies. But yeah, so a lot of things have changed since then. We actually have a pretty good, decent amount of staff now. I think we're at 16.
Wow,
right now.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So we're doing a lot of WordPress development. We're really focusing on brand development. Finally, after 6 months, got the website redesigned and launched. And what a project that was. Oh man, talk about going back, stripping everything down and building it right back up. It was an awesome experience. But
which website is that? Because I know you've got more than one.
Yeah, that's the slapshotstudio.com, and it was just a fun project because we had a problem with our identity before, where we were, maybe we'd share something online, it was a different font or anything, and we just really are intentional now about what we share, how we share it, the form that we share it in. So, and we're practicing what we preach, because we're
even better.
Yeah, and that took us a while. It's kind of like what do you call it? The
shoemaker's kid. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. The painter's house is the last house to get painted, right? So we finally got that taken care of. That was a big project, and we have grown that from the brand positioning standpoint. So we brought on Jared Ungaza, who is just incredible brand strategist. And he, if you know who Dan Miller is, it's Jared is Dan's son. So Jared comes with some great pedigree. And then we also have really gotten into the podcast end of things. So what happens after you go through the branding process and the websites? We wanted to keep in touch with our clients, and we didn't really have anything for them to go into after that. And we wanted to help them along. So we created some different ways to market themselves. So we created Podcast Pilot, and that's where we can actually help, get them a podcast going, and we can edit and do writing services for them if they want. And then we got into craziness about, it's very difficult if you outsource your podcasting to a podcast producer. Some people do, Google Docs or Drive or Dropbox or Trello, where all this stuff is, and it's tough for clients to learn about that stuff, especially when they're not technically savvy. And all they want to do is record their episodes and get rid of it. So we actually built some software. So we built software called Casterly, and that's another thing that we do to kind of streamline the process. And then once you get the marketing down and all that stuff and you're growing, then what do? Well, it's time to scale. And what better way to scale than to hire a virtual assistant to get you going, so that you don't have a huge overhead right off the get-go, but it kind of eases you into creating a staff, managing a staff, and growing your business, so that you don't have the heavy weight or burden of that big strong overhead each and every month.
Absolutely. So, whole lot of stuff in that short answer. All right. So you redesigned the brand for Slapshot Studio. So let's go back and let's go back a little bit.
Sure.
For our listeners who don't remember a couple of years ago, because there's been a couple hundred episodes since then. What is Slapshot Studio? Who are you guys? What do you do?
Okay, so Slapshot Studio. I could go into our whole brand mantra, but
The short version.
The short version is basically we are a brand and website development company. So we help businesses find out who they are and build brand profiles around who they are, who their clients are, the way they want to be perceived. A lot of people have an idea. They think, that they have it down pat. And then if they go through this process, they start finding out, wow, there's a lot of things that are being uncovered here. I didn't know we did this. I didn't know we did this. Wow, the target audience that I was going after was, we always get that. Well, who's your target audience? Well, everybody can benefit from this. Okay, so
I don't know anybody named everybody. I tell my kids that all the time, and my wife yells at me because my 4-year-old will yell from the living room, "Somebody, I want some water," and I'll say, "I don't know anybody named somebody. Sorry."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we kind of go through that. Then we build a website, and because for the longest time we were building websites, and we built over 400 now. But it literally took this project that we went through to really realize that I'm kind of doing a disservice to people if I'm just building them a website without taking them through this profiling process first. Why? It's because, why do I think it was a disservice? It was because I feel I was kind of just throwing something out there that I thought was good without really knowing about that customer in depth and knowing who their target was. Sure, we did a little bit of that stuff, but not to the level that I felt our clients deserved. And so this whole process that happens before the website is so critical. And I just can't recommend that enough for anybody. And anybody that goes through that, at first, they don't really understand it. They're like, brand, what? Process? No, we don't need any of that. But after they go through it, they're like, holy cow. The clarity, the vision, mission, core values are all reinforced. They understand it. And that it's amazing that 30-second elevator pitch comes from months of work and research and understanding and feedback. And it's just an unbelievable process to be able to niche it down into that 30-second little, I hate to demean it here, but
that's
spiel,
okay.
So I don't know. Do you kind of feel the same about that, or?
I would agree with you 100%. Pete, obviously you're familiar with the Simon Sinek, TED Talk and book. I mean, obviously people got to know who you are, what you're doing, and how you're doing it, but they buy why you do it, and you've got to define all of that before you try and sell anything.
Yeah, 100%.
So who are your clients that you're doing this for? Where's the marketplace that you play in? Because even though everybody can benefit from it, who are these somebodies that are your ideal?
Perfect question. So we asked ourselves that very same question, and we were like, well, yeah, we can do this for just about anybody. And we knocked it into our heads. We're like, but we can't do that. We have to niche down. So what we did is we did a bunch of categories. And so what we're doing is we have a real estate niche, and then we have an attorney niche, and then we have a bricks and mortar niche, and even in those we niche down even further. And so what we're doing is several different campaigns specific to real estate buyers, right? The real estate the buyer agents and the real estate selling agents, and we really specifically niche down in that stuff, and then that's what got us into this whole chatbot thing that has just exploded for us, because that's really helped us identify our niches, believe it or not.
Okay, tell me about the chatbot thing, because our listeners certainly didn't, and viewers certainly didn't know about that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, and it's been around for quite a while. A lot of people probably don't even realize right now that chatbots are pretty much in everyday online experiences and pretty much anything that you're doing. Bots pretty much drive Google, drive the search engines. Bots are used right now by big companies such as Nike and I think it's Pizza Hut and these big companies that are using them. But what we're seeing is I believe, in my personal opinion, a big mega trend. I think it's going to be as big or bigger than the invention of the internet, of websites.
Wow,
So,
that's a huge
um,
prediction. And
it's
we
it,
always want to know where you think the puck is going.
yeah. Well, the reason why, and it's really cool to especially talk with someone like yourself, who's so immersed in this kind of industry, because it's really cool to get that feedback. And I've heard both negatives and I've heard positives. And one of the biggest things I think in probably 3 years or so, I think mobile apps will be replaced by bot apps. I really believe that websites in 5 or 6 years will be bot sites. I think there's going to be such a huge change with this chatbot technology. Even though AI is not here, technically it's not here. We're probably 2, 3, 4, 5 years away from having AI really integrated with the chatbots. You can still use NLP and machine learning with your chatbots, meaning that it provides a really user-driven experience. I was recently on JLD's podcast, and we had a contest where we were going to give away a website. And so what we did is we had people come to the landing page and they got to experience a chatbot. And I said, and then we introduced them to this Wilson, the chatbot Wilson,
Wilson,
right?
I love that it's
Yeah.
Wilson, like Castaway. That's
Yeah,
great.
exactly. And we even had a little picture, of Wilson
Of the
there.
ball. That's awesome.
Right. So we had people go through this, and there was over 2,000 iterations in this. And basically, they got to go on like a challenge, like a Survivor, if you know that
Yep, sure.
little television show game. And so basically, what they do is they could say, "I like the beach" or "I like the mountains," and they kind of go through this thing, and they get to experience Wilson. And so we obviously made it a little bit humorous and funny and all that kind of stuff. Well, it was a bit of an exercise to go through. And we had 94% of the people go through the entire process. And of that, 68% of the people gave me their name and email and a phone number and a story of why they should be chosen. And it was really, really neat to see how that process worked. And when they were done, we were curious to see how they would react to Wilson, not the bot, but to Wilson, even though we introduced, this is the bot Wilson, right? He's a robot, but love for you to meet Wilson. After we were done, they didn't say that bot experience was awesome. They said, we loved Wilson. Wilson was funny. And that was like,
Wow.
yeah, that was really cool.
Okay, so let's back up a second and tell the people who don't know what a bot is. What's a chat bot?
Sure. So a chatbot is basically an electronic virtual assistant. You can have chatbots for lead generation, for education, for just about anything you can possibly think of. The sky's the limit. It's basically limited to the level of creativity that you have. I'll give you a great example. We have a new client that's working with us on chatbots, and they deliver a big product. And there's an installation process. And with that installation process, it could be an installation process, but it's installed by the owner, by whoever that owner is. They bring it home and install it, but it's a big package. And so they have their instruction booklet and they look through it. And we thought, man, why don't you just put a sticker on there, put a Facebook Messenger code around it, and have them take a shot of it with their phone, and it comes up with an animated bot, because we do animation now too. So we actually do animated characters that can talk, they can do all kinds of cool stuff. Why not have this person come up or their mascot come up and say, hey, you just bought your new thing here. Let's get you installed. Click yes. Are you ready to install it? Yes. No. Yes. Okay, great. Make sure your area is clear. All right. You ready for the next step? Yes. So it takes them through a really cool, amazing experience. And here's the cool thing. Because this company recently acquired an accessories division, now it pulls these people into the accessories funnel to continually selling them down the road, I hate saying selling them, but to enhance their experience and keep them as a customer ongoing. It's just a really, really cool way of making it easier for the client, but also keeping them keeping it up in touch with them and all that kind of stuff. So that's all generated by a bot, which is really, really cool.
Okay, so We have a chatbot for ourselves. So just so people get this, they think they're having a conversation with a person sometimes. Sometimes they think it's a person, sometimes they know it's automated. And they type a question. The bot will, based on what they typed, will know the answer and give them the answer, or it will give them choices A, B, C, D, yes or no, and take them through an automated conversation that they may or may not know is automated, delivering to them. I have one when I speak, get a copy of my book and the slides and stuff, and people type in and they message in, and then it delivers it, and then it asks them some questions and takes them through a process to ultimately determine whether or not they should actually physically talk to us.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So a way to
knocked it out of the park.
Automate the conversation. And I was just in a mastermind group where one of the speakers was Ryan Dice, and a digital marketer. And Ryan came and spoke for a couple hours and answered questions. And he said that they are spending more and more time. It's all about chat now for them. And they had to, they've changed their metrics. They're not watching cost per click as much anymore. They're looking for cost per conversation.
The difference between GUI and CUI. Graphical user interface, conversation user interface.
I like that. I'm stealing that.
Yeah, well, it's an actual term, but yes, you're.
Okay. I didn't know. I thought you just made it up.
Nope. Yep, but it's a term that people will become more and more familiar with, for sure.
Awesome. All right. So in addition to, let's say, building WordPress, figuring out their brand, figuring out who they should be for, who they should attract, who they should repel, and determining all that, then as part of that marketing, when it gets to that point, you're building out the chat bot that will help automate a whole lot of that.
Exactly. Yep. So that's how we help build our clients' audiences. And like you said, it's all about that user-driven experience. So the chatbot gives somebody an opportunity to explore what it is that they want to at real time, right away. There's no more waiting. There's, and I'm so bullish on this. I'm so excited about it because obviously it's tech and I love tech, but it's also going to help so many people get what they want. And let me just give you an example. This is down the road. It's a ways off, but say you were a girl named Molly and you wanted to buy some sunglasses, but you didn't really know what kind of sunglasses you wanted. So you went to the sunglassabc.com store or whatever it is.
Okay.
And you're on there and Sunny, the bot, comes on and says, "Hi, Molly, how are you doing?" Because she says, "Yes, I'm interested in, a pair of sunglasses." He goes, "What kind of sunglasses do you like? Do you like Ray-Bans? Do you like, Maui Jims? Do you like whatever, all these different kinds?" She clicks on a Ray-Bans. He goes, "Oh, wonderful. That's great. What one of these, Ray-Ban styles do you like most?" "Well, I like this one." And then the bot goes out, looks at her profile picture on Facebook, brings it into that conversation, in that messenger conversation, puts the glasses on her face so that she can see
I didn't know you could do that. That is awesome.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, that's kind of where it's kind of going, and you can just imagine. Can you just imagine, like, that's Molly going, "Wow, I look kind of good in those. That's pretty cool."
Yeah, I'll take it. It's funny. Yeah. Ryan said they had to put stuff in their bot messaging because people were saying, "Okay, sure, I'm in," and messaging credit card data. And he's like, "You can't Facebook message me your credit card information. You've got to delete that. Like, here's a link. Go order online on a secure site. You can't just send it to me." To the bot.
Well, that's coming too. That is coming. So you can actually buy directly through the bots pretty soon. You can actually be integrating, whatever your Stripes or whatever all that is, and it's all secure. That is coming.
Wow, that is really cool. So you are on the forefront of the bots. So it's funny. I haven't written it yet, but I've got a cover done for a report on this topic called, who will win, bots versus pixels, whose side are you on type of thing.
That's cool. That is awesome.
I may come back to you for some of the bot material, and maybe you can co-author it with me because
awesome.
You look like you know a lot more about the tech side of the bots than I do. I just write the copy for the bot binary, conversation.
Oh, that would be awesome.
All right, beautiful. I will put you down for that. So you talked about some of the different niches and sub niches that you play in. What are you finding is the biggest thing, the biggest aha moment that the client comes to you and then you deliver and they go, oh my God, light bulb, like I didn't know you could do that, or where have you been all my life? What is causing that reaction? Because I see the testimonials. I know you're getting it.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple different aha moments through the different processes. And I actually would hate to go back to the bots, but I think one thing in particular on the bots is when someone, I can talk to them all day long and they're like, yeah, okay, that sounds pretty cool. When they actually see a demo, they're like, holy cow. And you can just see, they're like, oh my gosh. And then the next question is, well, can you do it for this?
Yeah.
Or can you do it? And you're like, and it's one thing that you can just say yes to. We're actually going to coin a phrase, and I'll announce it here.
Oh wow, we heard it here first. Here's the drum roll.
We're actually
news broken live on the Sharkpreneur podcast.
Yeah, we're actually applying for a trademark on this, and we're calling it RET, Relationship Experience Technology. And that is going to be that it's not a robot, it's not a human, it's that third way. It's the RET, it's the Relationship Experience Technology. And that's what we're trying to promote here, so that you can give instant credibility to your brand, to the person, provide great customer service, whatever it's going to be, all through RET.
That is very cool. Very awesome. For our folks who are listening and watching who want to learn more, slapshotstudio.com, best place to send them?
Yes. Yep.
Awesome. All right. We've been here with Jamie Jay, our friend from Slapshot Studio, and one of the only, I think, 5 guests who've come back for a second, who we've had back for a second time. Jamie, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it.
Seth, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And if you ever find that video where you actually shock yourself, I can't wait to see it, because I still couldn't find it.
You still can't find it. You know what? I will ask my wife. She may have bookmarked it because she was so mad at me.
That was awesome.
All right. Moment that will live forever in marketing infamy. Jamie, thank you so much once again.
You're awesome. Thank you so much, Seth. What an honor.
Thanks so much for listening to this special productivity series of the Direct Response Marketing Podcast. I've interviewed hundreds of the most successful entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and CEOs all over the world, and I want to share with you one of the biggest ways I've discovered to triple your productivity that I've learned from these amazing people. Even better, I'll pay you $500 to test drive it. Just go to takethe500challenge.com. That's www.takethe500challenge.com to learn more. Thanks so much for listening.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.